Hi guys, it's Michelle, and today's video is going to be talking about different scary TikToks. Once again, I love, I was gonna say I love filming these videos, but I do get a little bit scared, I'm not gonna lie. It's 8:30 p.m, so we're still in the early phase of the night, so maybe I won't get as scared. But y'all know I don't really like ghost things because I'm scared of them. Frankly, but you guys really like these videos, so without further ado, let's get into the scary TikToks. All right, so the first TikTok is a mimic TikTok. This girl Morgan has a bunch of different instances where she caught mimics on camera. And apparently if you hear this voice say your name, do not answer.
Hi, I'm Morgan, and a mimic decided to latch onto me and my family and traumatize me for years. In honor of spooky season, I decided to dig back up some old clips because I have caught this thing on camera quite a few times and show them to you, so let's get into it. The first clip I'm going to show to you occurred on my family's farm. This happened when my husband was 10 to 15 minutes away at our house. He was not with me, but he's in the video. This next video also takes place at my family's farm. My husband was with me. He was recording outside, and that means something. Let me just tell you about this video first. So whenever I'm walking through the house, you can clearly see behind me as I'm walking through trying to film my face. He is behind me, right? Well, my husband was outside trying to get footage of the front of the house, and if you look at the footage he took, you can actually see me recording on my phone walking through, making it literally impossible that he was in that house because you can see me filming from his footage. I'll just show you guys these dolls really quick. I'll just show you guys these dolls really quick. The final clip that I want to show you actually happened kind of recently, and I'm sure you remember it since it happened recently, but let's just take a look at what we thought was an intruder in our house, but it in fact was not, because we went downstairs and there was nothing.
Bitch, the last photo? I'm just going to pretend that that's not real. Oh my god, she follows me on TikTok. I'm gonna follow her back. Girl, please tell me that's not real. Please tell me that shit's not real. I'm scared. The last picture is so freaking scary. This is why I don't get a Ring camera. My parents recently were visiting me in LA. Like, my parents were like, let's get you a Ring camera. Like, I really feel like you should set one up. And I was like, see, the thing is I would rather not know. I don't need to know. If I saw that shit on my Ring camera at like 3 o'clock in the morning, what do you do? What do you do in that fucking scenario? What do you do? I actually like, ew, I just got chills. Ew, I would lose my marbles, girl. Please let me know if that's real. Like, on a personal note, just DM me. Tell me that that's not real. Please, I'm begging you. What do you say to that? What do you say to that other than burn the house down? That's what I'm trying to figure out. All right, so this next TikTok kind of made me laugh a little bit, but it is freaky as hell. So this girl is telling a story about how she took this photo of her friend driving, and if you zoom in, there is just this looking like white man that's there that wasn't actually there. First of all, it looks like Eminem. That's Marshall Mathers if I've ever seen him. But second of all, why is he haunting you? I don't think you understand the amount of extensive therapy that I would have to endure if this photo happened to me in real life. Like, on the internet, when there are things that you see that are scary and spooky ghost photos, I just like to pretend it's not real. Like, I'm gonna finish watching this video, play Dress to Impress, and act like it never happened. But if it happens to you, that's just when you can deny it. If this photo happened to me, I would actually lose my marbles. I would maybe think that Eminem was like stalking me, which would be kind of cool, but no. Alright, so this girl talks about how when she was a teenager, she snuck into an abandoned insane asylum at 2 o'clock in the morning to do a Ouija board. I hate 3 of those things. 2 o'clock in the morning, abandoned insane asylum, and a Ouija board. Get out! Why?
If you want to sleep tonight, you should probably skip this. I'm going to tell you a story about how I really crossed the line with a Ouija board. I think I've been haunted ever since. When I was a teenager, we broke into an abandoned insane asylum in the middle of the night to play with a Ouija board. We had to crawl through an old rusty fence just to get in. The place was massive, had abandoned buildings and grounds everywhere. It felt like we were walking into some forgotten world. It was called Brook Run, and it was not a good place. It was a state-run mental hospital that had lots of reports of neglect, abuse, and experimental treatments. It was abruptly shut down in the 90s, and many patients were left there for days to fend for themselves. Once we were in, we knew exactly where we needed to go. Building D. I remember the door wasn't locked, but it was heavy, like it didn't want you to come inside. As we made our way through the building, all you could hear is crunch, 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 broken glass everywhere. There was graffiti all over the walls, but we could only see that when our flashlights shined on them because it was pitch black. The place was very quiet, but not a good kind of quiet. The kind of quiet where you know someone else is there and you're being watched. Since there was so much broken glass, we needed to find a table or something that we could play the Ouija board on. Then we saw it in huge letters, "This way to hell," spray painted on the wall. It was like an invitation, just calling us to go further into the heart of the building. It wasn't subtle. It was like the building was daring us to go in further. Without any hesitation, we went down the stairs. The basement was something else entirely. Not only was it pitch black, but there were no obvious exits, and it wasn't easy to find the staircase that we went down. When we got down there, the first thing that we saw was a massive empty swimming pool and lots of chairs with leather restraints on the arms. They must have been using them to hold people down. It felt like we were trapped. We were on a mission though, to play this Ouija board, so we needed to find a flat surface. We split up and went looking for one. I remember walking into one and immediately noticing one of those square doors that hold bodies like in a morgue on a refrigerator. Before I could think about it too much, the next thing I heard was bam, bam, bam. My heart stopped and I dropped my flashlight. But then I hear one of my friends laughing, put himself inside of the body refrigerator and close the door just to scare the shit out of us, and it worked. So while this was terrifying, he did in fact find a clean flat surface that we could play. We did that. We actually played a Ouija board on a body table in a morgue at an abandoned insane asylum. We pulled the board out, laid it flat, and put our fingers on the planchette. You could immediately feel something in the air. It started pushing. I thought someone was just messing with us, but nobody was laughing. Nobody was speaking. First few letters didn't really make sense, but the next ones did. The planchette slid across the board and spelled out D-E-A-D. I stopped and took a quick breath. It started moving again. L-E-F-T. The room got even colder. H-E-R-E. Dead left here. That was enough. None of us wanted to admit it, but I think we all knew it was real. I remember hearing a really quiet whisper. You couldn't make it out at first, but somebody telling us not to be there. Packed up our stuff and ran out of the room. I remember taking one last look, knowing I'd never be back, and I swear I saw something standing in the doorway. You would think something from that night latched on to my friend Christina, since she ended up dying a couple of years later. I really think something happened to me. Strange things have been happening, especially when I sleep. That's a story for tomorrow.
That's why I don't believe in ghost hunting. I mean, I'd like think it's kind of cool sometimes, and I would theoretically really like to visit haunted places if it would just stay there. I don't like the concept of these demons like latching onto you. I don't want to. I'm okay with not being a part of that, you know? Ew. Okay, so immediate ew when I see the haunted dolls on camera. This is a TikTok of times my haunted dolls moved on camera. So first of all, I simply don't... Okay, no. It's basically a compilation of this girl talking about different times her doll moved on... Ew. I don't like any of it. Ew, I actually have chills. Shut the... Why do people like these things? Why do you like the haunted dolls? Bitch, alright. That one's insane because how do you get a doll to move its eyes? And it's like, I don't think I'm a part of the haunted doll community. That's not for me. Like, actually, that fucking, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Ew, I actually have chills. Like, I'm not even being dramatic. I do not like these things. Ew, I'm gonna be in the comments like, I do not claim any negative energy from these videos. But seriously, ew, ugh, ew, I don't like that. All right, so this next TikTok is literally, I don't know how else you would explain this, but this story is freaking insane. So this woman talks about how her and her husband were dog sitting for a friend when they experienced a very terrifying ghost paranormal experience. I'm not really sure.
So this happened to my husband and I about 30 plus years ago. We were watching a friend's beautiful Victorian outside of Doylestown, Pennsylvania. They were away for a week and we were staying there, my husband and I. And we were watching the house primarily because they had this standard poodle, Bryn, who had a spinal injury, so she didn't have use of her hind end at all. And at night, she would get baby gated into the kitchen. We had a linoleum floor in case she had, accidents. But there was a baby gate in the hallway and one to this little sitting area. And we had gone to bed. We put the gates up and tucked her in and went to bed. And it was a spooky house unto itself. It was beautiful Victorian. And it happened to be a very stormy, rainy night. Lightning and the whole thing. Whole works. And in the middle of the night, the electric had gone out, the power had gone out, and it was crashing thunder and lightning, and I hear Bryn kind of howling downstairs and crying. And I wake my husband up, and he reaches for the flashlight, and we're going down the steps, and we get to the kitchen, and baby gates are up, and we shine the flashlight. No Bryn, nowhere. But she's crying, and we're like, where is this coming from? And on the other side of the baby gate, in the little sitting area, was the door to the basement, and it had one of those old slide locks, and the slide lock was locked. Baby gate up. This is on the other side of the baby gate. Brittany's crying. We can't find her. She is not in the kitchen area, and we realize she's crying from the basement. The door is on the other side of the baby gate that is locked. The basement door is one of those old paneled wood doors, again with the slide lock. It's in the bolted position. My husband hands me the flashlight. He unbolts the slides the door. I shine the flashlight down as he's going down the steps, and there she is at the bottom of the steps. Big eyes glowing in the flashlight light, staring up at us at the bottom of the basement steps. So he goes down and he gently scoops her up, walks up the steps, and we don't say a word to each other. I am absolutely freaked out. I can barely hold the flashlight. We put her on her dog bed, make sure the gates are secure. My husband shuts the basement door. We slide the little brass bolt over in the down position. We go back up to bed. I can't close my eyes. He is out in 2 minutes. I don't know, maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes goes by. It's still storming. We still don't have power. we hear Bryn crying again. He bolts right up. He sits right up. I said, oh my God. We get the flashlight. We go down the steps, expecting something different. She is not in the kitchen. Baby gates are up. She is in the basement. We open the door, slide the bolt open, and there she is again at the bottom of the steps. Again, she cannot walk. She has no use of her hind end at all, and she's a big, big standard poodle. He scoops her back up. We go back up, tuck her in, go back to bed. We're both not sleeping. Maybe a half hour goes by. She's howling again, and she's really howling. It was kind of it wasn't a whimper. It was really scared. I am literally holding on to the back of his shirt as we're going down the steps into the hall, knowing full well she is not going to be in the kitchen. It happened 3 times that night. That she was down the basement with the bolt slid shut. Many years later, we ran into, actually my husband ran into our friends, and it was, good 20 years later. And my husband said, hey, we've always wanted to talk to you about this, but is your house haunted? And he said, oh my God, absolutely. We have jewelry and articles of clothing that go missing for months, and we come home and it's laid out on the bed. And many other things that they did not tell us when they asked us to babysit that house. So really, really unnerving night. A couple of things happened during that week to us personally, but it was really scary. And looking back now, we think, did that happen? Because it was so supernatural to be able to physically pick up a dog like that, knowing what it was doing or whatever it was, and knowing how it was going to affect us. I really think about it now, the psychological part of that, the intelligence of this particular haunt. It's a family favorite story that we've told our kids now that we have kids, and we share with friends that are like, Mom, Dad, tell the story. And we both look at each other like, did this happen? And it did.
The thing that bothers me here is how the hell do you explain? 'Cause my dog, like my family dog, when he was at the end of his life, 17 years old or 16 years old, he could barely walk. He actually went through a period of time where he couldn't walk at all. Like, if this were to be not a demon or something, this elderly dog would have scaled a baby gate, which it can't do. Like, simply, there was no way in hell my dog would be able to jump over a gate at his declining health age. And not only that, but open a fucking door and go into the basement, burn the house down, sell the dog. I guess you can keep the dog. I wouldn't sell the dog. I say sell the baby, but the dog, we can keep him. It's not really his fault, you know? But seriously, I would leave so fast. I don't play with shit like that. I do not fuck with shit like that, but I'm happy for her that her husband was with her, because imagine that happening when you're alone and like you have to be like, did you just see that to yourself because no one else is there to see it? That would be insane. I would literally think I went crazy. I truly think that's why the ghosties don't really come for me. I do believe that they know it would do more harm than good. They know I would be an absolute fucking nightmare to everyone who knows me if there were like a ghost thing. I don't like it. They know. Alright, so this guy was recording. I guess he felt like there was a lot of his stuff was moving around in his apartment. And as he was recording the video, his guitar just falls down. Like something about the way that it moves is really gross to me. And when he goes up to the freaking guitar, so you can tell that there's no strings on the guitar, he didn't pull it, it's not a pulley system or whatever. That's just straight up a ghost. That's a ghost. I don't... See, my rationalization for this is there's someone wearing a green screen suit. And that's how they did that. I don't want to know. So this girl is talking about how one of her followers sent in this ghost caught on camera, and it's caught on live camera, like as in like a live photo, and the way that it is so fucking creepy, man. I hate that thing. Like, why is there a fucking Victorian ass man in this photo? No. If I went to my fucking live photos and saw that shit, burn my phone. Burn it. I would lose my mind. The only thing that can help is fire. Like, I'm actually disturbed. I'm turning live photo off permanently because that's so fucking scary. This girl tells a ghost story from her childhood that would have actually sent me to therapy for a year. This would do uncontrollable and irreversible brain damage to me. Honestly.
This is a story I swear I would never tell or talk about again, but my mom really wants me to tell it, so here we go. When I was in 5th grade, a new girl came to our school, and I didn't know her at all, but my mom and dad knew her mom and dad. They wanted me to like hang out with her. Well, she was in 6th grade. She was a year older than me, and she had 2 younger sisters, and she was there like 2 weeks or something like that, and they set up like a slumber party sleepover thing or whatever. I get over to her house, but first let me add, okay, her house was out in the middle of nowhere, and it was a log cabin that her dad had built, and it was like this 2-story lofty type cabin thing, and her parents were upstairs, but her dad had made like in the girls' room like built-in bunk beds in the wall, so they were like 3 high, right? And the little sister was going to sleep in the floor, and I was going to sleep in the middle, right? So you had to like climb the ladder on the outside of the beds and then like climb into the bed, which I thought was cool, you know, I was fine with it. But immediately when I got to the house that day, it was like heavy, and it kind of felt like something was like the air was thick or something. So she kept acting weird the whole time that I was there, and she would like look to the left and right and back and forth, and I'm like, what are you looking at? And she's like, oh, nothing. And then the little sister goes, she sees this woman. Ghosts weren't like new to me, but I knew this didn't feel like a ghost. It felt like something else. I would see like this dark shadow like show up and then like go away, and then around the corner I saw like these fingers come around the edge and then go like this, like around the door frame, but they weren't like regular fingers. They were like these really elongated black, like, and the nails weren't pointy. They were longer, but they looked like they had been like digging in something. They were like a brown dirt. This was like scary, whatever it was, right? So I'm already like planning my escape. Like I'm already like, okay, I'm going to wait till bedtime, and I'm going to call my mom, and I'm going to say I'm sick or something, so she has to come and get me. We were out there, like I said, in the middle of nowhere. And then her dad was like, oh man, the phones are messed up again. And he comes in for like dinner, and I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean the phones are messed up? So this was like 92, I guess, something like that. And he's like, yeah, they get down sometimes. And I'm like, well, what if I need to go home? And he said, well, you know, I'll take you home. You know, it's fine. It's fine if you need to go home. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm stuck out here, right? Like I'm not going to be like, hey, I need you to take me home, because my dad would have like ripped me a new one. Like, y'all know that he was mean, and he would have been so mad if I would have made this guy bring me home for nothing, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to stay here. Well, that night we go to get into bed, and she has jeans on. And I'm like, why are you sleeping in jeans? And she said, because I can't feel her scratch my legs in jeans. I'm like, feel who? What do you mean? Who? That little sister goes, the woman, the girl that she sees scratches her legs at night. And I'm like, oh my God. You know, like, oh my God, what do you mean? Well, is she going to try to scratch my legs? And she said, no, because you're in the middle bunk, she only gets mine. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me, right? You got to be kidding me. Well, we play games, we do whatever, and the whole time I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to see this woman. I've already like seen her hands. Like, what am I going to do? And climb up, we go to get in bed. I'm not tired at all, like not at all. And all I can think about is this woman, right? Like, why is my friend in jeans to keep from feeling her hands? Like, what is going to happen? And under the bottom bed, there was like a nook thing, you know, for like storage or whatever. So something could get under that. And I'm like, oh, you know, so I climb up this ladder thing. I'm getting like sweaty I'm getting like red just talking about it. That was horrible. I climb up the ladder, I get in the middle bunk. So I'm trapped. It felt like I was in a coffin or something, you know, because the bed was above me and there was a bed below me. So I'm in this box in the wall, and I'm like, I can't. I was having like a panic attack. I'm like, oh my God, I can't sleep in here. They had it total darkness, no noise, no anything. but fear, right? The only thing I could hear was like my heart slamming in my chest, and like my ears were like, whoom, 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 you know, I'm like, oh my God. Then I hear like the bottom bunk, like creak, you know, what's happening down there. And instead of just like not looking, like curiosity, you know, got the best of me. So I lean over, y'all, and this thing is like leaned over her. It's not in the bed with her, but it's like if it was kneeling beside her, and it's just going like dragging down her jeans. It sounded like that, you know, like dragging down jeans. So I'm looking down at this thing, hearing this, and then I look at my friend, and my friend's just like that. She goes, shh. So I freeze, right? So this goes on for a long time. It was me still peeking over the side, like looking, and you hear like, and then she just stops and then like retreats and sucks back under that bottom bunk. Turns out they had a Ouija board in that nook underneath the bed that she had made, a homemade Ouija board underneath the bed. Horrible, horrible. I have never been so scared in my life. Let's just say I made it through the night. First thing in the morning, I was like, I'm ready to go, because my mom wasn't supposed to come get me till like noon. This was like 9 o'clock, and he's like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I don't feel too good. Can you just take me home? I didn't care at that point what my dad said or did. I wanted to get the hell out of that log cabin in the woods. So he takes me home. I tell my mom, and she's like, well, you don't have to go back again. I'm like, no, I'm never going back.
The way I would lose my shit and I would have burnt. I keep saying I would burn the house down. This isn't even my house. I would have, first of all, let the dad drive me home. I wouldn't have even cared that I didn't know him going in the car with a stranger. That's better than a ghost, I think. It could be worse. But your friend's dad, like, probably not going to kill you. Maybe going to kill you. Probably not going to kill you. I would go home with him. Bye. I'm fucking out. Alright, this next TikTok freaked me the hell out. So it's about, I guess it's like a Ring camera. This guy fell asleep on his couch. And in the middle of the night, this painting just falls off the wall. Flies off the wall, really. And at first I didn't really think too much of it. Like, I was like, yeah, it could happen. But it was held up by screws, and the painting had been there for 10 years without falling. Like, why now? I don't know. I don't like that at all. Speaking of things moving, we're ending this video on a lighter note because I'm creeped the hell out. But I saw this cute TikTok, and this is exactly what I would do if I was a parent, because this is hilarious.
Get a tissue.
I wasn't picking my nose.
Don't yell like that.
I was putting myself on the nose, but I
Look at
wasn't
me.
picking it.
First of all, don't raise your voice like that. It's inappropriate. And see, now the ghost is very upset. Don't do that.
That, and there's no ghost in here.
Well, I don't know.
This kid was like crying and just like throwing a tantrum, and like on the Nest camera, it looks like one of the kids' toys just like kind of flies over, and the dad's like, well, it's the ghost. That is such a funny response. I would do the same thing. Anyway, that is it for today's video. If you guys liked it, please give it a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of these TikToks. And if you have any creepy TikToks or haunted videos, send them to me, tag me in them, let me know. But anyway, that is it. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, and subscribe for new videos every week. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.